This is a project of Cornell Cooperative Extension Ulster County, the Ellenville Regional Rural Health Network, and Stick to Local Studio. I'm Maria Reidelbach.
Hi, I'm John Wightman. I'm the owner of the Wightman Fruit Farm here in Kerhonkson, New York at the end of Baker Road on Cherrytown Mountain. This is my farm. It's been a long passion of mine, collecting apple varieties and growing apples and growing berries and grapes and all other kinds of crops.
Well, let's
John Gold,
delve into
Cornell breed.
Beautiful.
This is Gold Rush, University of Minnesota.
Will these turn yellow?
Yeah, yes they will. That's a very late apple, and it's an apple that will bite you back. It's really good for hard cider. Hard cider makers like it.
Ooh.
Really good to eat out of the hand, as long as you like a good apple with heavy acid sugar balance. This is a #1 apple in the UK for dessert. This is a Cox Orange Pippin.
Orange Pippin, my favorite. May I?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh boy. So I really love this apple because it's got all different colors. It's got speckles. It's got a beautiful starburst thing happening here, and it's green on the bottom. And then when you bite into it, it's crunchy and tart and sweet all at once, and it has a wonderful aroma.
And it's a great apple.
Oh, and look how dark these are. These are amazing.
This is Empire. This is a New Yorker.
Oh, named after New York. And look
Yep.
how dense they are on the branches.
The apple is crossed by Cornell of Red Delicious and Macintosh.
So you've got like these super green apples here, and then you have these beautiful pink apples.
Fuji's.
Fuji's?
This is a Gold Rush that got too heavy and the top snapped out of it. Okay, so if I look at this is Ludicrous. Okay.
That's the name of it, Ludicrous?
This apple here is Ludicrous, and I ate a Ludicrous today, and the closest thing I could tell you it tasted like is a mango.
What?
It's tropical, it's yellow fleshed, it's just like no apple I've ever eaten before. It's the first time I ate one off the tree. I called up the guy from Maya, which is the Midwest Apple Improvement Association, which I got permission to graft this by paying them money and joining a contract with them. So I'm in an association that I'm allowed to grow Ludicrous. I'm really excited. I've never eaten an apple that had hints of pineapple and mango. And I first bit into it, I was eating grapes, and I went, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. I don't know if I like it. A half hour later, I had the core in my hand. And when I eat a whole apple this time of year, I'm kind of spoiled. A lot of times I'll take 5-6 good bites out of an apple, and then I'll take a couple more. And this one here, I was like a beaver chewing on the core. I was like, wow, this is good.
So John, for all of these different kinds of apples, you just plant the right kind of seed, and then you get a Orange Pippin, you get a Granny Smith. Yeah, is that?
No, this is all cloning. It's scientific. It's asexual propagation, technically.
Well, what does that mean?
So that means that during sexual propagation, you have segregation, then recombination of genes. That's why you may look like your brother and sister, but your brother and sister are different. And when you have segregation of genes, and then you have recombination of genes, it's going to Vegas. Who knows what you're gonna have. Basically, when someone finds an apple or breeds an apple, they take the bud from 1-year-old wood, and that bud contains the gene for that tree. Okay, so if I look at this is Ludicrous. I had way too many Macintosh. The tree underneath this, from here down, is Macintosh. And these are called scions technically. So each scion of the graft has its own DNA, which was taken from its parent.
So when you made this, when you cut this off and then you put these on, these were really small.
These
and
were
they were the
three-butted
side,
sticks this size.
They were just little, and they've grown into this. And so now we've got the base, which is one kind of apple, Macintosh, but then you've grafted Ludicrisp onto it. So you're going to get a different kind of apple on these branches than on these branches.
The name is Cavell Blanc de Verre. Quite an old apple. They think it was recorded in 1598. Thought to be from France, from Normandy. The Cavell Monastery is where they think it started. Here's a basically living history.
So wait, so what you have told me is that this tree comes from a line of trees that goes back to the 1500s, and a twig was passed along each time. There was one tree that was a Cavell Blanc tree originally.
Absolutely.
And this tree comes from a
A
the
scion.
original,
Yeah.
a scion, from the original tree in the 1500s.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible.
Yep. And French chefs have loved this tree for making tarte tatin and tarte à pomme. So it's also really good eaten out of the hand this time of year.
I love the shape, how it's like softly rounded underneath. It's like pillow-like, and then it gets like this kind of like rolling thing going
Got the
on.
lobes on her.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what color is the flesh?
It's a nice yellow flesh.
Nice.
You know, a nice light yellow flesh.
So tell me, what is the purpose of so many different kinds of apples? Why do we need 100 different kinds of apples?
Well, it's diversity, right? I mean, there's a lot of good things that come from diversity, and you know, some apples are good out of the hand, some apples are good, you know, for cooking reasons. Some apples are sour, some apples are small, some apples are big, but they're all apples, just like people.
When I started the mini golf that I built on Kelder's farm with all the edible landscaping, I put in a couple of apple trees because I thought, okay, we'll start with something simple, apples. And then I discovered that apples are one of the hardest fruits to grow.
Yeah, challenging, yes.
Yeah.
Get challenged every year by it. Well, the first part of the year, we start off the process by pruning. So we're basically farming sunlight. Everything we do in the tree is to make that sunlight as efficient as possible. So we're removing anything that's going to shadow something else, because nothing grows well in the shade. We prune, it allows air to get into the tree, it allows sunlight to get into the tree. So we're actually getting our crop set and thinning how many potential apples are on a tree by making a cut. There's something else we're doing. We're increasing the vigor in the tree, because the tree in a northeastern area has a shoot to root ratio of basically 1-to-1. So everything below the ground would be the root, everything above the ground we call the shoot. Very
so
simplified.
they're about equal.
If you took them and put them on a scale, it should weigh equally. So
Wow.
when you cut the top off, you increase the amount of root per shoot. And so now the tree has gotten a larger amount of root, and it invigorates what you leave. So you have to think like a tree when you're pruning, and we normally start around the first of the year, and we'll prune hundreds and hundreds of hours in this orchard, and that's when our growing year starts. Every time you cut, you're also throwing brush down on the ground. This is a non-fenced in orchard, so then the deer come in and the rabbits chew on the browse on the ground instead of on the tree. They feel a lot more comfortable eating with both eyes sticking out than turning their head to eat a tree,
Oh, how
because
interesting.
that way they're just looking up in the air and looking on the ground.
What is this bag here?
So That's ivory soap. And that was to discourage the deer from coming in and chewing on my apple tree while it was coming out.
Oh, so that'll
So,
keep the deer away.
well, it helps. It helps.
And what other things like to eat apples besides humans?
Fungus, insects, bears, woodchucks, you name it. Everything, yeah, everything enjoys eating an apple. So we have to deal with fungus quite a bit. We have to deal with insects quite a bit.
So, you know, how do I pick an apple? Do I just like take it and pull on it?
If you take it and pull on it, you'll load the branch up, and then when the apple lets go, you'll either get hit by the branch or you ruin other apples. So apples are like eggs. If they're treated roughly, they'll break, they'll bruise as an apple goes. So the last thing you want to do is treat it roughly. When we're picking an apple, first you decide an apple that you want to pick. There's a nice one right there. And then we lever the apple. So we'll take the apple and we just turn the apple up. We turn the apple up with no...
Oh, you kind of roll it off.
I just go around the spur. So I'll take the apple, I'll go around the spur, and it'll come right off in my hand.
Beautiful.
So I've picked the apple successfully. I've handled it gently. From there, I'd put it in whatever vessel I was gonna store it in, or I'd give it a little shirt shine and eat it.
Does one bad apple spoil the whole bunch? Girl.
Well, only if you let it, right? Apples do let off ethylene gas if they're bad.
So if you have a bunch of apples, you really want to keep your eye on it in case one of them has a bruise and is going first, and you want to pull that out.
Bruised, overripe, yes. If you get a chance, great thing to do with your family. Get out to a local farm, see where your food comes from, and pick some apples, spend some time with your loved ones, and bring home some great snacks, great things to eat.